Time, you have 2 minutes.
I'm here to affirm the statement that committing U.S. troops to fight ISIL is in the best interest of the United States for 3 main reasons. First of all, ISIL or ISIS or IS, whatever you want to call it, is actually potentially going to be one of the few terrorist regimes that will actually be successful, because their goal is not independence. Their goal is to actually build a separate Islamic State. And even as it is right now, they have some recognition as a legitimate government. So the United States, because it has some stake in the Middle East already, being allies with countries like Israel, it has a legitimate stake in the government of the Middle East and in controlling IS, because IS is very clearly not pro-American. And so it actually makes sense to actively fight IS and to declare war on them. Second of all, the alternative to ground troops that we're using right now is drones. But the issue with drones that we're using is twofold. Basically, drones are not actually as accurate as we make them out to be. There's a 50% civilian casualty versus terrorist casualty rating on drones currently, which is not a good statistic. That basically means that we're going into the countries that IS is trying to control and we're killing civilians. And in addition to that, like, the killing of civilians is severely weakening our outward political image in these countries in the Middle East that we want to have a political stake in. Thirdly, it's incredibly inconsistent of us to not be willing to dedicate ground troops to the conflict, because we've already sort of made this formal declaration on the war on terror, and ISIS pretty clearly is creating a sort of terrorist Islamic State, as it were. And so for us to not actually be willing to commit ground troops, which have not been proven to be as inaccurate as drones, regardless of the fact that they are technically American lives, we have to be willing to make sacrifices in order to preserve our government and to not simply allow a terrorist regime like ISIS to survive. John.
Okay, Katherine, what do you want to go?
Good job. I have a question. What are the hand signals again?
3 seconds, 15 seconds, 5, 4, 3.
Can you show me 1 minute?
1 minute, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Just go when you're ready.
So I'm here to argue against the resolution that committing U.S. troops to fight ISIS is in the best interest of the U.S. So this is the story that we've heard as Americans time and time again. The U.S. goes to war. And to a point, it's kind of our pride right now. We fight, we think we're the world's police. We fight everyone and everyone who's considered a bad guy. So the thing is, we need to weigh what we're really accomplishing in the Middle East against the lives that it's costing and the health that it's really costing people who go. So it's not only costing money, like billions and billions of dollars, and the U.S. is already in debt, trillions of dollars. And then also the human lives that are being cost are a lot, and it's not just people who are dying, but people who go and come back aren't the same people, not just because of mental disabilities such as PTSD, but also because they come back with actual physical ailments. The amount of money that we're spending should not be put towards, we have internal problems that we have in the U.S. that our money should be going to instead of outside conflicts in the Middle East, such as ISIS. And as a civilian, personally, as in the U.S., it may not seem that our money is going towards the right place because not everyone is affected by this. I understand that it's a little bit selfish to say that it doesn't affect us and that only we should stick out for ourselves, but we have big problems that are going on in the U.S. right now, among hunger and our own problems that we have that we need to deal with before we try and fix everyone else's problems. Thank you.
Okay, now 5 minutes, 5-minute process. Ready when you are.
5 minutes process?
I'm just curious if you could provide me with any sort of statistic that proves that the actual cost of going to war is going to significantly increase the debt that America is already in. Considering the fact that we already have $3 trillion, how can you, like, do you actually have a statistic that proves it's going to up the $3 trillion by any significant amount?
Well, I don't think we actually need to focus on how significant it goes up. I think the fact that we're in debt $13 trillion should be significant enough to the American public. I don't think putting another dime in is significant enough. We already have too much money invested.
Are American soldiers willing to serve and die for America? Is that not sort of part of the contract of signing up to serve in the military?
Well, people might feel that the duty to serve their country, but they may not be necessary. It's unnecessary costs.
But isn't it true that in an effort to preserve these American lives, as it were, we're actually just killing, like, Syrian lives in the process? are you saying that American lives are worth more than Syrian lives?
I'm American. Well, I'm American,
Does
and
that mean the lives are worth more?
Wait,
No.
wait.
It does.
In this kind of situation, you have to answer yes.
America.
Okay,
Yeah,
bring,
why are the lives worth
bring
more?
up some BS really cold economic fact about how America is better than
You gotta be
Be
cold.
really cold.
We are more important because we are advancing the world in its technology and science more than the Middle East.
So you're willing to make the statement that we're going to kill Syrians just because we want Americans to
Why
live?
don't we commit Chinese lives? There's more Chinese.
What?
Okay, anyways, are we actually able to control the sickness that people are going to gain overseas? Is that just the
Well, you
fact that
can't
it's always-
control that. That's why it's something that needs to be avoided altogether. If we didn't send them, they wouldn't develop diseases anyway.
But aren't our medical practices already really advanced on people that might get sick overseas?
But once again, you're talking about treating something that can be prevented.
Okay. Is America currently an unstable country?
Yes.
Well, we're $13 trillion in debt.
But does that mean it's unstable?
Yes.
No.
Baltimore.
No.
Bring up some, those black
National
men that
debt
are
is
dying
not
up there
stability.
in
Bring in some
Republic,
other
those riots that
Cough,
are
Ferguson, cough, Baltimore, cough, California.
Bring in some more.
But does that mean it's
Wait,
unstable?
Catherine, the way you argue
What
this,
is your
bring
definition
in
of
more
unstable?
evidence.
Everybody's talking at the same
Oh, okay. If you're gonna do this, ask him his definition of unstable.
I'm like,
What do you mean by
ISIL is kind of like friends.
An unstable country would be a country that's not able to like subsist like on its own, that's currently in the state of like either chaos politically or is incapable of running itself. And America is
Oh,
one of those.
also, Catherine, bring in
Why would
some
you
other.
ask me my definition?
The way you
of
argue
unstable
this.
country?
Okay, you gotta
No,
So
that's bad
since the
advice.
I'm
No,
gonna.
it's not bad.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you advice right now, but like the
Define.
topic is
Like
saying
that.
is the best interest of the U.S. The way you argue this is you bring in more important interests than fighting ISIL.
Yeah.
So think of something right
So
now.
like, is it in the interest of the U.S. to kill U.S. soldiers? Is a U.S. soldier worth more than say a Syrian soldier in that case?
Is it worth American
Syria. We
lives?
don't care about Syria. That's
Yes.
not. We're not.
You
doing
can
this
say
for the
you
best
can
interest of
also
Syria.
say fighting
It doesn't
ISIS.
matter
It
what
doesn't really matter how.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you feel morally.
America means the most America.
This is for Owen. Owen, you cited an awful lot of statistics. What's your source?
My source for the statistics? I actually did find a study for the New York Times when I was doing. We got this exact same question when we were doing Congress, and I found a source in the New York Times that proves that.
So this is all New York Times where you're getting these numbers from?
I got the statistics for drone strikes from the New York Times. That was the only statistic I cited, I'm pretty sure.
I thought there was a bunch more.
What was the other statistic I cited? I said we were $3 trillion in debt, but she also said we were $3 trillion in debt because we're $3 trillion in debt.
Wait,
As
also
Dick
Catherine.
Cheney once said, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Wait, Catherine. Also, another way to say this is that even though we send in troops, ISIS is not going to stop. It's not going to stop ISIS. That's another way you can argue it. But
I mean, you
think
can
of
hit a
something
lot of
right
ways.
now.
Like, the other really thing about
I
taking
love
notes-
the feedback because honestly,
Personally, I would like
Yeah,
this.
no,
This
I'm
is
just
a
being
question
mean,
of
but no.
This is a question to Owen.
Yeah.
Why should we commit U.S. troops to fight ISIL if like local ground forces already hostile to ISIL, such as Kurdish, Peshmerga, something, whatever Kurdistan has? Their military forces have been enormously successful in fighting off ISIS and even penetrating and even recapturing territories.
Well, first of all, Kurdistan isn't an official state. They actually are
It's a
fighting.
communist region.
They're actually fighting ISIL for their own reasons because they want an official state. They're not actually against like the ISIL regime. They just want their own state.
When
which is entirely-
ISIL's literally going like.
But okay, yes, but regardless of just like the whole Kurdish issue, or the whole Kurdistan issue,
I'm being serious now.
yeah, it's the thing is like, actually the reason that ISIL is able to actually gain like, you know, as it were, popularity, right? They're basically just ruling through fear. It's not even that people are against ISIL, it's just that they have no incentive to fight back against ISIL because they don't see any threat from the outside, right?
When the Peshmerga is already fighting off ISIL, I don't believe that statement.
Well, no, here's the thing, right? The U.S. is basically like bombing the areas,
Yes.
right, in like the IS, right? So the U.S. is essentially just bombing them from above, and ISIL will like kill them if they say anything bad against like the supreme government that they have going on. They have no reason to fight back. Even if they were unhappy, they would never show it,
Well,
unless the U.S. makes an active ground assault.
I don't believe that statement. Because the Peshmerga, Syria is already fighting them using ground forces. We see people deserting from ISIL and getting shot for it.
There are some.
Clearly there are things happening
There are some groups like in the Middle East fighting ISIL. That's true, but
So,
like being
but
perfectly
that's
honest
just-
with you,
that's just the
that's
debate.
more.
Why should we
We
commit
can
U.S.
stop
ground troops
filming
and say,